thing. I'm not in the garage today, but this is a message from the garage show. So I was recently doing some research on a bird. I was looking for a bird that snatches bees out of the sky. And so I was like, is there such thing? And come to find out, there is a species of birds and they eat bees. Within that species, there are two kinds. There are some that eat the bees from off the ground. They'll catch them while the bees are on the ground, or they land. And then there are others that actually eat them in midair. So they'll catch a bee in midair, and so what happens is, after a period of time, they develop something that makes them, the ability that makes them immune to the bee sting. And they said it's an innate ability that these birds have. And please forgive me, I'm driving. I don't have the name of that genius before me. But today I want to talk about brood parasitism. I was like, what? I was like, is that such a thing? Like, what? Brood parasitism. So, today's message is for the fam, you know? In our communities, we have too much brood parasitism going on. And I just want to, again, as always, I just want to jar the noggin to get you to think. If this is you, I hope, hopefully, this will make you think of a new way of being, a new way of thinking, and a new way of doing things. If you haven't, this is not made to bash anyone, because I'm learning that everybody has something that they're working on. I don't care how saintly you are. Everybody has something that they're working on, and that thing may vary from person to person. So, with brood parasitism, it goes as such. So the male bird is from this species is known to take the egg and put it in the nest of another. And so this is what it said. It said that he basically would go off and forage for food and pretty much make more babies, right? So the egg is put into another nest to be raised by somebody else. You know, he tried to slide it in with the rest of the eggs, maybe, I guess, hoping he won't notice that this isn't one of their blood biological eggs, or I don't know. But, and it made me think, like, wow, birds do that too? I was like, this is what goes on in the community. And it says he doesn't want to bear the responsibility of rearing and raising the children, but he will go off and he'll hunt and get food and do all those things for himself and make more baby birds. It's not funny. The concept itself is not funny, because this actually goes on in our community on a regular, not just ours, because, you know, it happens, but on a larger scale, mostly our communities. How many men, and actually, how many men, and I'm going to say and women, are guilty of brood parasitism? I was riding with my niece the other day, and we were having conversation. She's younger. She's a millennial. Even the women now are dropping children off at the baby daddy's house. They're dropping children off at relatives' house and not coming back. They don't want to bear the responsibility of rearing and raising the child. Now, I will say this, that sometimes brood parasitism is not a bad thing if that parent knows that they are in a position where they cannot provide for the child, okay, such as perhaps in adoptions, whether that's inter-family adoptions or even outside of the family adoption. If the individual knows, let's say perhaps maybe they're on drugs, I don't know, or maybe it's alcoholism, or if they're abusive to the child, definitely that child needs to go to a family that's going to take great care of them and love them and nurture them and provide for them. So in some cases, this brood parasitism is not a bad thing when it's in the best interest of the child. But I'm not talking about those that don't have the wherewithal to take care of their children. My message is to those that do, but are just basically shucking their responsibility. It does the child no good at all. There is no replacement. There's no amount of money, no amount of toys, no amount of things that you can give a child to take the place of a parent. And sometimes I do know that sometimes even the mothers, you may play a role in this as well, when the mom isn't with the dad and maybe she is keeping him from interacting and participating in the rearing of the child. And some women do that out of spite. They do it out of vengeance and anger. And the point of the matter is the child suffers for that. And it's not fair to the child. If the parent is a responsible parent, children need the benefit of both parents, particularly if the father wants to be in that child's life. Don't have an involuntary brood parasitism because you're being revengeful. You and him didn't work, but you can co-parent together. We have to learn how to work together to raise our child. You know, every relationship we would want it to end in a bed of roses, but it doesn't. But we have to learn how to work on our relationships in such a way that we can be amicable towards each other for the sake of raising a healthy child in a healthy relationship. So if you are a woman that is keeping your child from the father, not because he's going to harm the child, but because you haven't processed through and healed from the pain and the emotion of you and him not being together, I'm suggesting that you're not doing the child any good. Many of us are, including myself, have been single parents at some point in our lives. And I'm telling you, I love my sons but it's nothing like a man teaching a young boy how to go into manhood. You know, I can rear a male child very well, but there's certain things I can't do for him or give him because I'm not a man, right? And I can try my best to educate him, but I can't deal with him from a man's psyche, you know? So those are things that, especially in the community, we've gotten away from the era of time where the older men taught the younger men and the older women taught the younger women. In today's society, a lot of our children are being mislabeled. Why? Because in our communities of old, they learned from the elder men at the hip by doing. They weren't some are audio, some are visual learners, but a lot of them were experiential learners. And that interaction with the male, that man, that father, helped build that and to help the young gentleman to grow into manhood. That was sort of a rites of passage, if you will, for the male. Same thing with the female. So, ladies, if he's not of a harm to your child, don't do that to your child. You are not a man. You. I'm sure a lot of you ladies are doing an excellent job, and I want to commend you for raising your child with as a single parent household. However, if you have a man that is willing to co-parent, let him. Don't do that. And I watched a video, it was called The Diary of a Tired Black Man. And just to hear this perspective from a man's perspective, and just to see how sometimes even us as women, we interact, it's just not right. So a lot of times we blame it all on the men. It's not always the men, ladies. Sometimes we can be vindictive. And again, the child suffers. So if this is you, I just want to encourage you to think as a woman. And if you're a man and you've left off, shuck your responsibilities to rear your child to chase the cootie cat, you're out here sowing your rural oats, creating more, You need to step up to the plate and help to rear your child. There's no other person that can take your place. You know, it does take a village to raise them, but with that being said, you should not be leaving your sole responsibility to the entire village because you don't want to have any responsibilities at all. Again, there's something that only you can give your child that no other person can give it to them quite like you can, you know? And so many times, okay, I don't like this. I'm just going to say, please don't get me, guys. I watch it every now and then, but I don't like to watch it. I don't like a lot of smut TV. And I know this happens, paternity court, divorce court. But if you watch those, I don't know if it's the cop-out or what, but if you hear it every time, even the men and the women, they all at some point are like, well, I didn't have a dad in my life, and they break down crying. Now, some of them, I think they just fall in line with the rest of the hundreds that have said that before them. But in a lot of cases, this is true. It affects the psyche and the development of the male child and the female child. Because you weren't there, you don't know how that affects them later in life. Sorry, I'm sweating. This thing is making me hot. I need to take this off. So I just want to encourage you. Let me turn this heat off. Ooh, jeez. I just want to encourage you. Be. That's just a beautiful thing. Be involved in your child's life. It's something beautiful. Be involved. And if you haven't, make the first step. You know, COVID's going on. Call them on a regular. You know, my dad passed in 2016. And I kid you not, my dad, even though he wasn't in the home, we used to have these 1 hour, 2 hours, and I kid you not, sometimes 3 hour conversations. And as a child, I used to be like, yes, daddy, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, daddy. And I would listen. My mom would walk by and roll her eyes because she, you know how you ladies when you're daddy's girl. But, so let me tell you, those talks, 2 hour, 3 hour talks carried me. Even when he's not around, I can still hear him in my head. I can still remember those conversations that have carried me through life, those nuggets of wisdom that he has given me. And it's something, you can have another man say the same thing, you listen, but it's something powerful when it comes from your dad. You hear me? Or it comes from your mom. It's something powerful about that. We have to, I talked about recycling the recycled. We have to stop recycling those same cycles in our families and in our communities. I'm case in point. We have to break those generational curses. His daddy wasn't there, and his daddy before him and his pappy before him wasn't there. Okay? Case in point. Her mama didn't have her dad wasn't there. Her grandmom's husband wasn't there. It's generational. When do we stop the cycle? We don't want to keep recycling that kind of behavior in our families and in our communities. So I'm driving. So I hope this, again, brood parasitism. We don't want to be parasites among our own community, within our own homes, and even to our own children's. You know, it takes a village to raise. Yes, let's all jump in and help one another raise each other. I remember growing up, and if you did something wrong, the neighbors would call you out on it. Be like, hey, such and such, I'm going to tell your mother, and you would straighten up. They didn't even have to be related to you. It was that it takes a whole village to raise them. That's a beautiful thing, but don't shuck your responsibilities. Love you. Step up to the plate and be a better man, be a better woman. We're all working on something. Hope this has helped jar you today. I'm driving. Peace and love. See you soon.